Hi YouTube, welcome back to my channel. Today is Sunday, it's the 6th of December, so 6th day of Advent. I know there's another day to go before we're a week in, but it definitely feels like the end of the first week in this run up to Christmas. It's a beautiful sunny day here in London. I've been out to the hairdressers this morning to have my highlights done. That's a big job. My hairdresser very kindly opened this morning quite early on a Sunday, so I could be done in glorious isolation. If you don't live in the UK, then you won't know that hairdressers were allowed to reopen again as of last week when the last period of lockdown finished. They have all sorts of things they have to do to try and make it safe and socially distanced, but at least we can have our hair done again if we feel up to it. So that was a nice thing to get off the to-do list, as it were, before Christmas. So let's open door 6, the last door on this side of the part of the difficulty is that I'm reaching over my iPad screen. Afraid we're going to go with the trusty scissors again just to open. Ooh, it looks like another white. This is Kyoto Pearl. So yeah, this interestingly is another of the whites I looked at in the summer when I was looking for a white. This is much closer to a number of the Chanel whites that I already have, in that it's quite highly pearlized, and so it wasn't quite the look that I was going for, which was a matte white, but it's pretty. So 2 whites now to try out at some stage when I get my nails clean enough. So yeah, we've had a nice selection, I think, this week. I promised I would show various new eye palettes. I think I'll probably do them one at a time over the next few days that I've got over the past few weeks. This one is the much-awaited Victoria Beckham palette. Now, in truth, I probably wouldn't have got this if I hadn't had a money off voucher that I had to use at Cult Beauty. You may remember I had a large purchase in order to get the gift with purchase from Cult Beauty a few weeks ago. Same with Space NK, and both of them included vouchers for money off that have to be spent either by Christmas or the New Year. So I went on Cult Beauty and thought, what can I get either as a present for somebody else, or, and this is how it turned out, a present for myself. So I thought, well, I will try the Victoria Beckham. Now, these new eyeshadow bricks retail at £50, which is quite pricey, but I got it with £15 off, so that was a bit more acceptable. You can see really beautiful packaging. It's a bit like when she had the release with Estee Lauder. Really gorgeous, heavy, weighty, substantial, classy packaging, which is really tactile, really visually appealing, and very stylish. So a big plus for that. Now, I think there were 4 palettes, maybe 5, and I thought quite a few of them were quite similar. The browns and beiges were quite bricky toned, terracotta toned to me, and I didn't think they were going to work very well. So I ended up getting the one which is called Tuxedo and is actually the smoky eye one, which is not something I would normally go for because I don't often do a smoky eye, but I thought, well, I probably would use the grey and it would be a good one just to test out the quality. So when you open up, you can see the format, which is basically undivided stripes of product. So you get a big brick of the neutral cream, a much smaller stripe of the matte black, and then 2 satin greys. Now, I don't know what people think about this format. It looks quite nice at the moment now that it's all pristine, But I have to say, I'm worried about the colours kind of running into each other, and I much prefer divided pans. So that's my take on the format as a whole. The shadows feel very soft. The cream, you can see, is quite powdery. That would cause a degree of fallout. Looks a bit drying. It is a matte, and it's a nice shade for kind of blanking out and making a blank canvas on the eyelid. There used to be a Bobbi Brown shade like this. I can't remember now what it was called, that I used to do years ago. I haven't had it for a while. Then going into the grey, again, very soft, quite a bit of powder, although it looks slightly satiny in the pan, fairly matte, and has got a definite lilac undertone. You can really see it being pulled up by the purple doors behind, which I actually quite like. I think that's definitely a shade that I could use. I'm kind of blue-grey eyed. Then the darker grey feels a bit grittier, very dark. There you go. That looks, again, pretty matte on the swatch. I don't know how much I would use that. And that's before we even get to the pure black. Wowzer. Which really is a pure black. So I do think the consistency and shades of these, if you really are, that's looking much more kind of brown, isn't it, almost? If you really are a smoky eye lover, then these are good shades. And of course, that is what Victoria Beckham's famous for, so I can understand it. I'm not sure I will use much more than these two shades, to be honest. I have probably more smoky palettes than I need in my collection, even though I don't use them a lot. I think the one I would routinely turn to when I think of doing a smoky eye is Titanium Smoke by Tom Ford. You can see there a very dark black. That grey, let's just take the cellophane off and swatch that next to the lilac-y grey of VB. Again, just as soft, but feels like less fallout. But you can definitely see that's much more silvery, less intense, and much less lilac-y, although it next to the purple at the back. It's interesting how if your eye goes to the purple behind, they both look to pull more lilac-y than when I just look at my hand. And it's a lot kind of smoother and more blendable, I think, formulation on the back of the hand, maybe entirely different on the eye. And of course, again, in the Tom Ford, you get two glitters, toppers really, and a black, which I don't use a lot. So that's my super smoky eye palette, but I have others. Ice Queen, I haven't in truth used a lot. This is kind of more a slate grey, again, a silvery grey, a more useful, because it's not a glittery topper white, and then a glittery topper in grey. So that's probably more forgiving as a smoky eye palette for me. And then this one that I like a lot and have used a lot more than I expected. This is the Wet and Dry formula, and it's Double Indemnity. And again, you've got a slightly glittery black, which I do use sometimes as a liner because the glitter slightly catches the light and it's dark. And you've got the nice taupey grey, the silvery cream again, and a dark taupe. This is a kind of more forgiving smoky eye palette for me, being very fair with crepey eyes. And then just to kind of finish off the smoky eye palettes, I've not really used this, keep meaning to, Black Bow, one of the new Dior formulations. I really bought this for this bright silver, which I really like the look of. Again, you've got, to me, a pretty useless black matte, but also this nice mauvey, taupey mauve colour, which I thought might make a more palatable smoky eye, but it's really that exciting silver that I want for my party looks. So I do have, I think, more than enough grey smoky eye palettes. The pluses of this VB palette, I think very clearly the aesthetics of how it's packaged and put together are beautiful, really premium. I personally don't love the kind of brick format, but it'll be interesting to see how that ages. It's a very dinky size. When you look, those of you who know what the size of a Tom Ford palette is, you can see how much smaller the Victoria Beckham palette is. So it's a real dinky one for your makeup bag if you're short on space, although it is quite heavy. So it's still going to weigh down your handbag, but I really like the packaging. The quality of the shadows, well, I haven't tried them on the eyes yet, so I'll have to let you know about that. But they're certainly very strong swatches on the hand, and I would expect it to be quality product. Certainly the ones she has previously released have been. So there are my opening thoughts on my one Victoria Beckham palette. I don't know whether I'll go in for any more, probably not in the current release. The colour story didn't really appeal to me too much, but it's always nice to try something new, and especially on a discount. So let me know if any of you have tried any of the new Victoria Beckham releases. I know there are some eye pencils, and if you're into smudging the coal, her pencils are of a very good quality, I believe, and they certainly were when she did the Estee Lauder release. And she's also done a number of lip products, which look very nice, but I just couldn't justify any more lipsticks at the moment. So I'd love to know if any of you have any thoughts on Victoria Beckham. As ever, a thumbs up is always appreciated. And I'll see you all again tomorrow. Bye for now.